Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vocal Arts. I am here with Yannis Papadopoulos, and I'm going to pass the baton over to him and let him tell you guys a little bit about who he is and what he does.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yannis Papadopoulos. I've been singing in Beast in Black since 2015, so it's been basically 10 years at this point. And it's been a lot of grinding, a lot of touring with them, and a lot of recordings, of course. So we're always keeping busy and trying to keep our, fans happy and ourselves active and creative as well. As it comes to my past, like before the band, before Beast in Black, I've been in a couple of other bands in Greece. That's where I grew up. And I studied music in the Musical University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki, Greece. So there is
Awesome.
a lot of musical background since I was basically 10 years old. I figured out that I like music and I want to do music. Well, like consciously, because subconsciously when I was a kid, like 2-3 years old, I was always reaching for my dad's classical guitar, and it was always in this nice hard case, and I was always sneaking up to open the case. My dad was like, no, this is mine. You don't mess with this.
Awesome.
I was like,
awesome.
this is the treasure,
Yeah.
So since then, I think I there was some kind of calling, if you believe that kind
Awesome.
of stuff.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to get into your entire origin story in a little bit. I want to start our chat talking about this new song Enter the Behelit, because that's actually how I very recently got introduced to your outstanding group. So I'd love to know about the origins of that project and how it came together.
It's kind of a mixed up story, and I'm very sure that for this type of thing, Anton, the creator and leader of the band, he would give more accurate info. But nonetheless, I can tell you that much that we had he was in the middle of creating new songs for a future album, and basically we got the call from, I don't know who the top head is. Is it Blizzard, or was it Berserk? I think it was from the side of Blizzard. And so when he had the call with them, he calls me and he's like, have you heard of this gaming company, Blizzard? I'm like, Blizzard? Like the Blizzard? Like, So I was like, yeah, of course, man. He's like, well, like they would like us to do something, and like they weren't sure if we would use some older Berserk related songs from our back catalog or if we would do something new. And I was like, if we can do something new exclusive for them, like that would be the best. He's like, yeah, I know, I'm onto it already. Like I'm one step ahead. So it was rather quick. I think the day after I went to his place, that's where we record basically. He has his own proper studio. And he showed me the song, and like in a couple of hours then I got familiar with it and I started recording basically. So it was pretty fast. That's how it started. And basically the two of us took over the recording and mixing process as well. He's the head, but I was assisting a lot this time.
Awesome. It's
Yes.
it's such a cool song, and I love that it's tied to Diablo, because I played Diablo a ton growing up. I mean, I literally still have, I think I talk about this in my analysis video. I'm keeping an old computer alive just so I can keep some of the characters I had on that game.
I feel you, man. There's so much golden, records that I used to have in a couple of games, and those will be impossible to track. They were in my old PS1, for example, or like when back in the day, there was no real internet. You had Pokemon Gold, for example.
Yep.
And I did have all the Pokemon, including like Celebi and like crazy stuff.
No way.
And I was literally only missing one TM. But back then to get all of those, it was really impossible.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
You had to trade with people like so much.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I did it, but that cassette got erased somehow. So like that's dead.
No.
So that's a bummer. But
I started with Pokemon Silver, which is the same time Gold came out.
Same thing. Yes.
Great game.
It's
Great
the same
game.
thing. It doesn't get better than that, man.
Doesn't get better. Okay. Anyway, so Into the Behellet. How
Yes.
what was the do you know the ideas for the music video? I thought the music video was really, really cool. How it was partially animated, and then it was part live action. And I thought that was a really cool combination.
I'm so proud in the sense that when we were rehearsing that with the director, we had a little draft. So somebody had designed as a sketch, like, okay, Yannis is going to be here, he's going to be here, and then the band kicks in here, and here we have the animated parts from Diablo. And basically, I got to only seeing the final result after we filmed the whole thing. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what was promised to be done, basically. So I was really happy about it. And the initial plan would be that it would just be me. Like, we've done a couple of lyric videos that is just me and then the lyrics on the side of the screen or something. And then we were asked that, oh, could we have the band as well? So step by step, we were like, well, let's just go full blown,
Yeah.
like production. Like, you cannot half-ass this kind of stuff. So
It's awesome.
yeah, we
absolutely
always
awesome.
go all in with this type of stuff.
Good. I mean, that's the way you got to be as artists, full commitment.
I think so. And we like the cinematic approach and the, kind of watching a movie approach. For me, I think we're missing that a bit during these days with maybe in the heavy metal scene, maybe in the pop scene, you still see this kind of stuff. But I think it's a bit more rare in the metal community. At least
agree.
as much as I'm following, because I'm not following too much, so maybe I'm clueless.
You've
but
got
that's
enough.
my perception.
Yeah, you've got enough going on. You got to focus on what you guys are doing. How about
Yes.
how about the set design? I thought the set was really, really cool for the live action part of the video.
Basically, what you see is, I'm sure Anton can also explain that better, but there's the 5 fingers that so this is all whole Berserk animated, Berserk based. So the god hands, the people that appear once you activate the Behelit, are the ones that come out of those fingers, the god hands. So that's how it shows on the video, basically. And what you see are the other guys from the band come out of those fingers, basically.
Did you guys build that set? Did a production team build that set just for the music video?
I think everything was built from scratch just for that. Yes, which is, for me, it's really hard to imagine. It's crazy stuff, and in such short-term notice.
It's amazing how many things have to come together for a really great music video shoot, because obviously you have the music to take care of. You've got the raw stuff, and then that all goes through a mixing and mastering process. So the music side's complicated, but then you have the costuming and all the technical folks and the lighting designers, and so much has to come together for it to be a really high quality finished product,
Even if you pick one aspect from those that you mentioned, it's already living hell. Like our director was searching for outfits. She was literally scouting the whole world, and eventually she conjured up something by herself, which she usually does. Like, she's one of the most resourceful people I've met in my life. So we're really lucky that we're close with her. So like, whenever we would need something, she's basically our person for this type of stuff. And or like the mixing and mastering hell was going even basically beyond its deadlines. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say this stuff, but yeah, like, that's the truth of it. Like, we were just, mixing until 6 a.m. and then it was still not over, and we had to go the next day. It was crazy.
I feel like that happens so often with big projects. Is you can set a deadline way out there, but still it always comes down to the wire, because you're trying to get all the juice out of it. You're trying to make it as good as it can possibly be. So you'll be in the mixing process for a while if you need to be, to get all those details.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really endless, and I'm glad I'm not like the one pulling the ropes for this. I'm not the big head. So and still, even for a person like me, it can be stressful. So I really cannot imagine for the more responsible people in this how it must feel like, oh, I have to pull off this deadline. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, are a lot of your music videos? Because again, I'm just discovering your group. Have you done other music videos that are partially animated and partially live action, or was that kind of a new experiment just for Enter the Behelit?
I think to go to such lengths and make a pure hybrid like this one, to my impression, I think it's kind of the first time. So before we've had lyric videos, we've had just animated videos, like our song One Night in Tokyo, for example, is just animated. And as far as I can think, this kind of hybrid, I'm pretty sure we have not done. So we have a couple of more cinematic videos like Blind and Frozen, Moonlight Rendezvous. So these songs are full-on movies, basically. But this type of thing, no, I think it's the first time.
I'm really looking forward to checking out your guys' other stuff. Some of the big ones, like the one you just met. Was it Blind and Frozen? Is one of the really big ones you guys have done?
Yes, yeah. That was like 8 years ago. I cannot believe, but when I'm listening to it, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, it's so different than how I would do it now. And I'm not sure. Like, my voice has changed so much since then that some things I don't know how I would do now.
That's a great segue into your vocal technique, because you have an incredibly unique, awesome voice. I mean, I don't know if
thank you, man.
I sing.
Likewise.
Thank you. I sing opera professionally, which is cool, and there's some interesting like overlap with the fan base with like metal and rock and opera, which is really cool. That's something I'm discovering. But I'm always fascinated by vocal technique, and it's what I nerd out about most on the channel. And you do this like head voice rock like mix rock belt. That it's a timbre I've like never heard before. I mean, and you did it pretty early on in Enter the Behelit, up to like a high G or something.
Yeah.
First of all, what is that technique? I don't know how much you think about technique and then that kind of thing, but kind of what are you doing when you create that sound?
That's a tough one because really, honestly, I keep reinventing myself with that because it used to be so much more different before I started touring. I used to have this immense amount of projection and resonance through the skull, basically. Like, I would just hit a note, and if I would hold it long enough, I would just, like, almost black out.
Wow.
So that used to be my approach, like, for the high notes, basically anything above a C5 or something. And then when we started touring, like, doing it more and more and more, like, I started getting so much friction. So it's not like I was getting any pain or any discomfort, but basically my sound production was just coming to a halt. It's like, no, this is too much. You cannot, it's like, you only have 10 bullets, man. You shot your bullets in the first 2 songs. No more bullets. You have to go lighter, right? So since then, like, I started developing a bit of a different tone when it comes to the very high notes, like anything above E5. Like, so I will not push or build. I don't want to call it belt because it's so high. It's not a chest. Right. There's no chest almost involved.
Right.
But yeah, I don't want to belt that anymore, that register. So it goes lighter nowadays. And I try to put as much harmonics or distortion in it as I can. Like, that's how the beginning scream of Enter the Behelit starts.
Yeah.
But, so it's kind of a thin tone that in a way I'm artificially enhancing. Like, I'm trying to add harmonics and grit into it. If I'm really logical or methodical about it. But that was the dilemma that I came with. Like, how can I get a similar power that I used to get without, being able to do it longer in the night.
Right.
So and that type of note I can do like on a whim. So that's the happy part.
Awesome.
Of course.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, if you're going to be going on tour and performing long nights with these big, intense performances. I mean, the beauty, it's a great thing to learn because it sounds like you've figured out how to use like studio recording to where maybe you can do that, and the audio and editing engineers know how to make a safer sound big and intense as it might have a decade ago when you were singing. But more importantly, performing on tour and being able to use that lighter mechanism to sustain throughout an entire performance, as opposed to, like you said, I think that was a funny analogy that you got 10 bullets and you just busted all of them on the first couple of songs, and it's like, well, I've got no big high notes left. What do I do? So that's a really important transformation that you've gone through for your vocal technique.
Yeah, and it's like I'm constantly battling with it, because whenever I find myself in a recording situation, I'm like, I want what I had before. Like, I go back to old files and stuff. I'm like, I want this bigness and resonance and insanity. So it's kind of funny that I've worked on it a bit more again, because now I know how both of the tools kind of felt. Like, I'm trying to make the ear-mind connection again, like when I'm listening to the older stuff. And because we haven't played any gigs since September, I have really rested, I can say. So now it's kind of easier to dabble into that, and I want to find that fine line when I can do it on a whim when I'm in the studio without wasting my bullets, but then go a bit easier on the concert so I can survive 44 concerts in a row or something.
Yeah, like that, And that's the beauty. I mean, if you're at a concert and tour, you've got a giant amplification system. So that's one thing that's really nice about performing with microphones, is you don't have to worry about technically how loud you actually are, is because there are other things that can help you be loud in a giant space,
I can read your opera mind right now, because I'm very sure that it's opposite, because I've had some classical training in the past. So it was very important that when you're in a room, it's just you and the piano, or maybe it's you and the orchestra, which I wish I would have done. I have never done an orchestra. That would be amazing. But yes, so it's just you and the piano or the orchestra, and you have to project enough, even when you're singing in a piano dynamic.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy part. I've been watching clips from Alfredo Kraus or Luciano Pavarotti, and I'm like,
amazing.
This is mind-boggling, really. Yeah. It's just beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So those people do not need the microphone to use. Their technique is pure in the sense that, if I'm without the mic, then you can really know how loud I was, or where I'm kind of shifting my placement, or when I'm kind of unbalanced or maybe cheating a bit, so I can save myself, save my ass, so to speak, because I need to survive. But that's also the kind of beauty with metal. It's not just, in a way, it's not just art. For me, it's a little bit of sports as well. Yeah. It's like, the way I'm feeling it is that I have to run a marathon with a sprint tempo. So it's that intense for me. I move around a lot, I run a lot on the stage, so it's not purely singing even. It's a lot of performing as well. So you got to pick your battles,
Yeah, definitely. It's extremely hard to keep the voice steady and, as if you're just standing there in a recital setting, right? As it could be in a classical setting, when you have to do all these big stage acrobatics and there's probably fire going off and you're running around. I mean, you're right. That is a totally different ball game. When you're preparing for tour, do you ever train cardio or fitness while you're singing to get ready for performances?
I usually do those depending on the life phase that I'm in, and there have been times that I was not really in great shape, and somehow it worked out. But of course, in the phases like now, I've been going a bit too crazy with sports. I've been going to basketball almost every day in the week, and I'm hitting the gym 4 or 5 times in a week. So it's but I'm very sure I felt it the times that I was really fit. Then singing the stuff on stage is like walk in the park.
Yeah.
So it does help a lot, and I need to maintain that. But you're making a good point. I should make it a bit more of a I should be fit to be on the stage, you know. So
Well, I run into singers that have benefited a lot from that. Like musical theater is a very they do so much dancing and heavy choreography in musical theater, like on Broadway and stuff like that. And some friends of mine that are on there, you know, when they have shows, they will literally run on the treadmill and sing through their parts and basically do that
yes.
until they don't get out of breath. And I'm like, that is like really, really
Yes.
fit and awesome.
That's one thing I'm missing from my house back in Greece because I had a static bicycle and I was doing just that. So as long
Oh,
as I could keep the speed at least 19 kilometers per hour, I should keep singing the same stuff. So that's as slow as I was allowing myself to slow down. Nothing lower than 19 kilometers per hour, I think. So that
awesome.
was quite fast pedaling. But yeah, so eventually the set was becoming kind of easy when you're adjusting to singing the whole Beast in Black set on the bicycle. So
Sure.
I should get myself one here as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Well, where are you based now?
Nowadays I live in Helsinki, Finland.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yes. So on the other end of Europe, basically,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
northern end.
Awesome. So tell me about the origins of Beast in Black. How did the group actually form in the early days?
That's a cool story in my perspective. So before me, the idea was from Anton because he had created his first band in the past, Battle Beast, and that was his baby basically. And they had to split ways, and he had to start over from scratch, basically. And he was gathering up the people for it. And I didn't know at the beginning, of course. And he found me on Facebook in 2014, basically. And he complimented me on the material I had with my previous bands and on my personal YouTube. We started being a bit friendly, just talking in a chill way, like once in a while, like once a month or something like that, like random messages, you know. And of course, I had to go and figure out who is this guy that texted me, and, you know. So I knew eventually who I'm talking to, of course. But then he proposed to me that, hey, I would have this project that I would want to do, and would you be interested to sing? And back then, I was basically open for any kind of collaboration. I was very happy to just create and put myself out there as much as possible with metal music. So for me, of course, it was a yes. But then when they were coming with his band, Battle Beast, back in the day, they were coming to my city in Thessaloniki. We met for the first time in person, and then he gave me more details that, hey, this is more than a project. There's these things lined up that will happen. There's all these plans that will happen, and I need somebody who can be like all in. So, are you that type of guy? I was like, hey, I have no family of my own, you know. I don't have anything in the middle. I can be anywhere, anytime, where you want me. Like, I'm your guy. Like, music is what I live for, and if I can live from it as well, even better.
Yeah.
So that's how it began from my eyes and from my perspective.
You said you were 14 when you first got in touch with him?
That was 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, good
Yes.
Lord. Okay.
But actually, I was 22, so I was pretty young.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
So you
can't believe it.
so you were already making your own solo stuff, and you had a YouTube channel, and you were like, you were doing music with the goal of doing music as a career professionally, and then this opportunity came to you.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I used to, I still put some YouTube covers, like vocal covers on my own YouTube, but it's a bit more scarce nowadays. So, but I think it's still a very good bio for yourself. It's a very good CV, so to speak. So,
Awesome.
and I show different aspects from my musical taste or my vocal colors, you know. So I like to express myself in those kind of ways. So I
Of
think
course.
it's a good outlet.
Yeah.
Basically.
definitely.
on the channel. Yes.
And Beast in Black, I mean, if Blind and Frozen came out, you said what, 8 years ago? Almost 10 years
Yes.
ago? If that came out almost 10 years ago, then that must have been like a really early success for the group, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just a big bang. Like, it, I really don't know, like, how or, I mean, I know when I can stand behind something 200%. And of course, I was super happy with what we did. But when you're so new and basically nobody knows you, how can you know how it's gonna be perceived by the people? But I think it was quite a big success, you know.
That's great to have that early on to kind of like kickstart things in motion to be like, okay, guys, like we really have something special here,
Yeah.
and to like motivate you to follow that.
Absolutely. We try to grind as much as possible, like right from when the first album was released. And yeah, I think 2018 and 19 we had a total of 200 concerts. It was 100 concerts each year. Like that's
Wow.
yeah, that was quite gruesome, you know. And I was, of course, I'm still inexperienced. I consider myself still clueless. But yeah, man, like back then it was brutal for me, you know. I was really going all out, and
Oh my
it came with a
goodness.
price. I'm not the same since we had in 2019 in the beginning we had a 13-day tour, but it was like 13 shows in a row. There was nothing else. There was just 13 shows in a row. And yeah, I started the tour with already no voice. Like there was nothing when I was starting the tour. I was just that sick. So then when you build on that, it was just, I was ready anytime, like, no, I cannot go. Man, we have to go. I'm like, fuck. Sorry, but yes, like
It's okay.
I just had to.
That's a
I just
singer's
had to go.
that's a singer's nightmare, truly.
Yeah. But that one, I really believe that my voice is not the same since that, and I have to make more adjustments, basically.
Did you
After that time.
Did you have to use prednisone or vocal steroids or anything like that to get through that tour?
No.
Okay.
Back
That's
back
good.
then I had. I wish that I had access to cortisone at that time. I used it once. It was 2 years ago when we had 44 shows tour, but it was almost 2 months in 58 days. So it was still pretty rough and headlining. So, and it was one of those cases that we had. Somehow in that venue, I've always been sick. Like 2 times in a row, I was sick. I was like, no, I don't want to sing in front of these people in this state again. But it was like 39 fever. I couldn't get up. Like I was just 39 Celsius. I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit, but
I don't know either,
I
but
was like-
I'm over 100 probably.
yeah, I know from my lip rolls, like what the night is gonna look like. I couldn't even hit like a D4.
Oh my god.
Like
Oh my gosh.
Like my voice was just flipping and just making like husky dolphin sound or something, like just nothing. I was like, I'm screwed, you know. But after that, of course, there were another 20 shows to go. So I was halfway there when that happened. I think I got the COVID from somebody. But
no.
there were the last 2 shows that we had in my home country in Greece. I was like, I want to give something a bit better to them. Like, you know, like, of course I can pull it off. Like I had some kind of mild recovery, you know, by really being economic every night. But I was still in deep trouble. So I took cortisone in my home city in Thessaloniki. Like I just had to, and it helped a lot. I don't know if you've ever taken like
I haven't
a
because I
pinch.
know like it can increase your risk of like vocal injury because everything just clears up. But I hear from people if your technique is really solid and you don't just like start ripping away and going for it, then you can get away with it.
If you're interested in my experience, how it went, first of
I
all,
am,
to
I
me,
am.
it feels like, how is this even legal? Because I swear to you, back then, I was not in any shape, and I could tell you I was vascular all over. I was like, like I could do, instead of 10 push-ups, I could do 30 like on a whim.
Whoa.
You know, I was like, everybody was looking at me like I was so hyper, like with 4 hours of sleep. Like, are you okay, dude? I'm like, this is great. This is great. so I go on the first song, and because of my injury, I'm ready to go like push so something can come out. And first impression is like, oh, wait a minute. I don't need to push like even half of this?
Oh,
great. Let's go. So I'm doing so much better. But then like every time I go, the first time that I had to go off stage to drink water when they play solos, I go to our guitar tech and I'm on my knees and my heart is going like this. I'm like, I'm out of breath, Auntie. I'm not feeling, this is crazy. He's like, are you okay, man? I'm like, I need to breathe. I need water. I need a fan. I don't know how this stuff is legal, but it worked. But like, that's a narcotic, you know, it's a proper drug. Like, I don't know how it's legal. But yeah, that was one of the craziest experiences. But it did help with no damages after. Like, I'm glad I did it.
That's good.
Yeah, because it's a risk, like, and many people get hooked to it, you know, and then they depend on it.
Yep.
Know, like, that's a dangerous path.
Yeah.
Like,
so in the shows where you don't have access to these amazing aids, how do you get through a show when your voice is feeling sick and you don't have your range? How do you navigate that?
Somehow I have this stupid blessing that even when everything is shot, somehow during the showtime, I have at least access to my 5th octave.
Okay.
I've never been in a state that there's nothing there.
Really?
So that's, for our material, that's kind of useful. So even when I felt like I'm literally having 10% of my voice now, or 5 even, like I'm really trying to be optimistic now. Like, if a day is like 50, I'm like, we're doing great. This is a walk in the park. This is fine, you know?
Yeah.
So nowadays I would have to be deep in the pits to consider taking those wonderful meds we just spoke about. But yeah, so usually I'm not in that big trouble. So I'm just, I don't know, I'm just going with the adrenaline and just warm up as good as I can and hydrate as much as I can.
Have you ever tried a personal vocal steamer? Where you inhale warm steam? I do
have one.
I love that. I love those
here
things.
In Finland, yes. And a guy gifted it to me, basically. The guy that is responsible for or is manufacturing them. I'm sure he's part of that company. But yeah, so
that's a great one.
Good.
Yeah, I also try not to use it too often, but if I'm feeling sick or if my voice is feeling really tired, doing that before performance just feels like, oh, okay, it's healthy, it's good, we're good to go.
Yep, and it's just feeling warm, you know. And one thing that I realized can really mess me up on tour is the sleep in the tour bus beds, like in the bunks. So there, a lot of times the air becomes dry. And I don't know if you've seen, like, there's these little humidifiers that you can get. You just fill up the tank, like, I don't know, a few ounces of water. And then it will pump out humidity for 6-8 hours. So that's as much as I need in my sleep, basically.
Yeah.
So with using that, I don't know if it was placebo or because I had it right next over my head. So I'm pretty sure it did something, because a lot of days I was waking up like more moist, so to speak, here. Yeah. So that I think the rest and the sleep are so important when you're on the road. Definitely. Sleep and hydration is like the most important thing. And I know sleeping is difficult on tour for most people because they're on a bus or they're in a van or, you know, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times you might depend on the bus moving, for example. Like, it's just like a lullaby to me. It just puts me to sleep. So if it stops moving, I might wake up a lot of times like, did we arrive? What is going on? And like the first time falling asleep, I can do it. I can fall asleep. But if I wake up, that's the tough one for me. That usually I struggle falling again. So I really have to keep it constant.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about just your training a little bit. Like nowadays, do you still do kind of targeted vocal training where there's parts of your voice you're actively working on with vocal exercises or a voice teacher, or do you feel like you get a lot of your training from performing with the group and recording in the studio?
Mostly, to be honest with you, I don't go that technical about my voice in the sense that I just try to throw as many challenges as I can when it comes to songs. So I'm like, hey, I really want to do this song. I really love this song. And it can be from any artist, from any voice. So that alone in itself is like, if I can make myself sound convincing and proper in this, it kind of automatically eliminates whatever technical problems I would have. So I aim for a specific sound and a specific emotion that I want to get through. So usually those are my priorities, and that's how I tackle my practicing, I guess. Like, so really exposing myself to the recording, because if I just sing now to you, it's like I did it and then it's gone, it's in the air. But if I record it and I can see what I did, I can hear it again. I cannot hide from anything anymore. Like, it's all there. I'm totally exposed. So I think that's my main approach with things. Of course, yeah, to record, I will start with warm-ups and a few exercises, but that's kind of like maintenance, so to speak.
That's cool. So you look at songs you want to do that you think will kind of expand your voice and challenge you, and that's how you continue to grow as a singer.
That's my main feeling. Yes, yes, that's what I enjoy.
I love that. And do you do that kind of stuff for your solo channel? Like if you just want to cover something or... Okay, awesome.
A lot of times, yes. Yes, I have too many recordings that I haven't filmed a video for. So they're like, there's so much stuff just sitting, collecting dust, but not for long. Not for long, hopefully.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And okay, now let's wind the clock all the way back. How did you initially get into singing, and how did you discover that you had a voice that you wanted to, pursue a career with, essentially?
If I really take it back, I can think of myself, like I told you, I was picking up my dad's guitar, and then I think around the time that I was 9 or 10, around that time, I was asking my dad, like, hey, okay, the piano is here. Can you maybe show me something on the piano? And then he showed me some things. And the next year, I think I started going to the musical school, like, outside of the elementary school, so like external school. And I started doing piano and theory there. And yeah, one of the freak moments that I had at that time that kind of convinced my father that I will be some kind of musician was when there was this commercial from the national TV channel. I was like, Dad, is this in D? And my dad is looking at me. He's like, how the heck do I know? I'm like, you're my dad. Like, you're, this epitome of a musician. How can you not know? It was so mind-boggling to me that how can I know or suspect, and my dad doesn't. It was natural for me, So I go to the piano, and I hit the D there. I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's in D. How couldn't you know? So my dad totally lost it. He was like, okay, this kid will not do anything else in his life, probably. Like, he's locked in now. This is it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I started with the piano, and then I got the guitar around 12, 13 years old, and piano was not cool for me anymore. I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to do guitar on my own. Then I discovered heavy metal, so I started playing more stuff on the guitar. And then around the age of 15, when my friend needed a band, he needed a singer and guitarist. I was like, well, I play the guitar. Maybe I can try to sing. And he's like, well, okay, can you try singing something for me? And like, it was just the moments that I was trying to do both and just exploring it because I wanted to break out of my shell. I was so shy, you know. We had all these school celebrations and I was always at the keyboard and the other kids would sing. I would not go to the front to sing. So he asked me to play, I think it was 18 and Life by Skid Row. So I was playing that song and singing. And he was like, dude, why do you want to play the guitar? Like, why don't you sing? Like, this is better. Like, he was really hyping me up, though. Like, it was not anything like, you know, I was on the pitch, sure. And, there was some high notes. That's it. You know, it was not proper singing, but he was so excited. He's like, you should pursue this. So I got a lot of motivation and confidence from that guy, basically. So I do feel responsible, at least in my head. I do feel that he's responsible to a big degree for me being confident in singing and taking it up, actually. Maybe I would keep playing the guitar if all of these things didn't transpire.
Yeah.
You never know. But yeah.
Did you start taking lessons? Did you ever have voice teachers or voice coaches to help you along in your development?
Legitimately once, and that was the purpose of me going into the musical university, was basically to fix my vocal technique, because a lot of times I would just blow myself up like this. When we had these school bands and we were already playing covers and stuff, so I went to that, but of course the requirement was classical singing. I was like, I have no idea about classical singing, you know. Basically, you enter the university because of your school grades and harmony grades. That's what you needed. Harmony, listening, and then the rest of the grades were normal school stuff like biology and history and stuff like that. So I get in there and there is all this, you know, this little circle of singers that I meet, and they're like, how do you want to get in there? Like, the auditions are in a week. Like, you've never sung classical before, you've never had lessons before. How am I gonna have lessons if I want to have lessons? Like, I need to start from somewhere. Well, here I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So it was weird for them that I hadn't any training before with classical. But yeah. So I started basically learning the songs from YouTube because I hate the paper. So, and I got my friend from my band to play the piano for me, basically, to accompany me. We raised, I think a couple of those songs, we raised them like one tone up. And I was just trying to mimic as much as I could, you know, what I would hear from YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the singing section of the university. So I got accepted. So that was great. I was like,
bravo.
Like, you know, like, but I feel like a fraud. You know, it's like, sure, maybe there was something impressive, but I was totally clueless. I was like, I'm just trying to emulate whatever I'm listening, but this is not anything classical. So please show me, you know. So from there, my teacher, you know, she was super solid, one of the most amazing singers and teachers I've met. She basically did not want to alter my instrument to a level that I cannot do metal. So she tried to keep my voice as an instrument as intact as she could and build on those things instead of taking me through a transformation. So I think most classical singers wouldn't do that because in a way it's still off the book. If you sing classical, it's classical. It has to be in a certain timbre, in a certain way. So we tried to kind of go my way as much close as it could be. So
that's really
I think,
that's great. You ran into that teacher.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah. I'm really, really lucky.
There are so many teachers, and there are plenty of unqualified teachers in academia, by the way. And it's great you ran into one that wasn't like no, we're gonna put you in this box and we're just gonna teach you this one thing, and that she was like, we're gonna work with you. She must have seen that you were a talented singer. Was like, I want to help this singer, become as great as he can be, as opposed to like, I want them to do this so they can get a good grade and whatever. That's awesome. That's really great.
Absolutely. I'm really so grateful towards her. Like and she was like, of course, like I used to sing this stuff when I was young and blah, blah. I was like, I loved Deep Purple, Child in Time and stuff like that. I was like, damn, I was just like, so she could feel what I was going for. She was like, you can be the greatest classical singer if you want, but it's still kind of a music that has been done, but you want to do your own music. You want to create your own path. So she saw that and respected that. And to me, it's still so precious, because most singers in this type of category, they wouldn't have let this much leeway.
Yes.
It's incredible. But yeah.
Did you study with her for your entire time at university? And how long is that in Greece, by the way? It might be different over there than it is here.
Well, if we speak legitimately, like you can finish your university in 4 years. But I was such a dropout by nature that I never finished my studies there, basically. So I got in, I helped myself basically with the techniques that I wanted, or getting a solid foundation for myself. And there was the whole theoretical part that I was just like, nope, I don't want to learn. Like, I made a promise to myself that once I'm done with high school reading, I don't want to read stuff anymore. So it's
I just want to sing.
I'm so practical. I just want to do the stuff. You can throw me in a bar and play 500 songs. Like, I can probably do it. Like, I am kind of like a jukebox, but I'm not a reader, So I did all the practical studies, basically, and I still owe my theoretical part of it. So, yeah. The 2 years were thorough. Then there was, like, problem with hiring stuff, so she couldn't attend the university all the time. So it was a bit scarce after that.
And then...
So the 2 first years were solid.
Okay. And then you had, what, another couple years between university and when Beast in Black started?
Actually, you're not wrong at all. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was on and off with the first 2 years of university, or the last 2 years of university. So I was still going to some of her lessons, like in 2015, which is when we started with Beast in Black. So yeah. There was a bit of a crossover time, for sure.
That's awesome, to go right from university into this awesome band.
Yeah.
That's a good trajectory.
Yeah. It's so weird when you put me through the timeline, because a lot of times we live life just going through the motions. We don't realize what we have done before.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I like to do it on these interviews, is because it's fun to see the guests, these awesome artists, like really thinking, oh, like, yeah, that was like, wow, that was only 6 months after that thing happened. It's cool to like connect the dots, and then you take a fresh look at your life and your career. It's good stuff.
It's scary. It's scary, Like, just a couple of days ago, I was somehow on my phone, and I was looking for some place to recommend to my friend, because I've been there before. So I was in the location history or something like that, and somehow it showed me little pinpoints on the map where I've been to. And for example, like, Europe was full. And then you have South America. Oh, it has a few dots. North America, it has a shit ton of dots. Then there's Japan. I was like, this is me. When you see it in front of your eyes like this,
Yeah.
It's a different thing if you ask me, where have you been? And then I try to list you things. Maybe I get stuck on the 10th country. I cannot think anymore.
Yeah.
But then I looked at that thing in front of me. I was really flabbergasted. I was like, this is crazy. This is real.
That's amazing.
Like, I've done this. So yeah.
How many?
Yeah. So you're kind of doing the same thing to me right now.
Yeah. So how many? You've been on world tours with the group, yes?
Yeah.
Do you know how many world tours you guys have done?
Well, there has to be about, in the ballpark of 10 European tours, and then 3 North American tours, 1 South American tour, and then we've visited Japan 5 or 6 times.
Awesome.
So, off the top of my head, that's the approximate ballpark.
Awesome. What's coming up for you guys? Do you guys have tour or performances coming up soon?
This year is one of the least busiest years. Sorry for my English, I'm trying. But yes, I think least busy, yes. Years. And we have 6 summer festivals in Europe, and then another 20 concerts with Halloween. We're supporting Halloween in October and November this year.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
So that's a total of 26 concerts this year. Actually, we're playing just next week, which is so weird for me. I haven't sung Beast in Black live since September.
Yeah.
Since the
it's time
last
to
day of August.
Hop on the treadmill and start singing.
Yep, definitely. I should, man. Yeah.
And you guys releasing, are you releasing more music? Do you have more upcoming music releases?
As far as I know, and as far as I'm hoping, is that the priority is to finish up the creative process for the album so that I can get myself in there and record it. So usually that's one of the last steps. Like once I'm done with my recordings, then it's mixing time. And then it's not so far off from the finishing line anymore. So I think that's the plan, and that's my hopes as well.
Cool.
But, you know, this is secondhand information you're getting still.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not straight from the source, but pretty close.
Pretty close, I'd say.
Yes.
Okay, very exciting, very exciting. And do you ever have a role in the songwriting process? Contributing lyrics or melodies or things like that?
Honestly, no. I mean, you have Anton, the mastermind. He's one of the freakiest people in the best sense that I've met ever. Like, he can just... I don't know where or how he finds the inspiration for writing the songs, but it's... Every time he's going to his laptop, he opens the Guitar Pro, he's like, hey, I have these ideas, and he just clicks space. And I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, this is another hit, you know? Like, is like when you listen to it in such a simple format, it's just Guitar Pro. You know, there's a sawtooth playing the vocal melody. So and I'm already like hooked.
That's when you know.
Okay, yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I have complete faith in his songwriting ability. And that's the thing, that a lot of times people can be that good, but still something will be off in the vocal melody. Like, hey, this note doesn't sit right with me. Like, I would like to sing it like this. But even that hasn't really happened. Like,
wow.
To like, I really cannot think that, like, there have been only a couple of very small additions that I've done, but mostly it has been harmonies. And then for one song, I asked for an extra bar, which we had to talk about it 2 hours for me to elaborate what I mean and how I wanted to feel. He eventually got it, and he got it done, because usually he's very strict because there's the whole vision.
Got the vision, yeah.
But it worked. It worked. I'm very happy. And then there was the other song, Die by the Blade, that he had the same idea in the back of his head. Like, after the solo, there's a chorus, but I was like, this needs another chorus. This needs to be double chorus. It needs to go again. And, like, just intensify. He was like, there was a Guitar Pro version like this. So, I got you. If you feel this way, I trust that that version was correct too. So that kind of feedback, I'm very glad that he's open with, because I think he recognizes the musicality, that I'm not just, somebody that knows how to hold a microphone.
Yeah.
Like there is musical background and understanding that I have, so he respects that. And I'm very glad, because it's a win-win for me when his vision also is super aligned with my vision, so to speak. Like I want to stand behind it and be like, I don't want to have any second thoughts or like, I wish this was different. I don't want to have any of that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And how about the other band members? Do they contribute to the songwriting at all, or are they, show up on studio day and bang it out?
Basically, to be honest, yeah, that's basically how it goes. Like they need to record their parts basically, but it's really hard for anyone to believe when I'm saying it, but the stuff is really so ready that it's not like, oh, this bass should have been like doing this or that. It's so ready, like
That's
the
awesome.
drums and stuff. Like I don't know, like his musical understanding is unlike anything I've seen.
Well, that's great. That's a great asset
like
to have.
maybe the drum fills might be a bit different once the drummer gets to be familiar with the stuff, but like that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, that was my main question for you, is because often I hear like, you'll have great songwriters for these groups, but when the specialist steps in, they'll change things. So I was wondering for you, because no one knows your voice better than you, when you get in the vocal booth with the song, if you're like, oh, I would love to add this note here, add this harmony, but it sounds like the guy Anton knows your voice basically as well as you do.
We literally have code language at this point, like, hey, I would like this verse with this type of voice, or I would like that chorus with, with your chest grit voice, or, it's all there. He knows my range as well as I do, basically.
That's
so
awesome.
He knows how my voice will come out. And yeah, I don't know if he's adjusted the pitch of the songs because of that, because I don't think so. Because I've told him, throw anything at me. Like, I want the variety. I don't want every song to be in G minor just because I like G minor. No. Like, I don't know even if we have G minor songs. Oh my God. I need to throw that to him. That's my favorite key.
Yeah.
But yes.
What's your favorite key in there? I have another question just before vocal question before, because we're coming to the end here. What is your like usable kind of reliable vocal range that you'd feel comfortable performing on tour or in a concert?
Well, I would say I wouldn't go lower than an A. Is it 2?
A2, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I start suffocating. Like, there's lucky days that I'm easily going to G and F and E.
Wow.
But yeah, those are kids' notes for you. Like, I don't know if you're a bass or a baritone, but...
A bass, yeah.
Yeah. I could tell from the timbre that this is not just baritone, this is bass.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but yeah. So, especially with a microphone and loudness, it's so hard to adjust myself and relax and go into the, deeper territory, especially when the adrenaline is there and everything. Yep. No. Mm-hmm. So please don't put super low notes for me. So that would be that. Like in Ghost in the Rain, we have one A flat. So a lot of times I'm like, it's shaky. Oh, I don't like it. I have to whisper it, stuff like that. But then with high notes, it doesn't matter to me. Like there's just, my ceiling is around the C6. So
wow.
One song has C sharp 6, and that one is, a lot of times I kind of have to cheat that one or do something. But you can make a sound up there. Yeah. I mean,
that's amazing.
Up until the C, like I can normally use my head voice until that point. But yeah, that's kind of the ceiling now.
That's a very high ceiling to have in a performance setting. you know?
There's a certain feeling that comes with my voice. So when I'm in those notes, like anything really in the 5th octave register, like there is no question marks, so to speak. Like there's nothing that I have to tackle anymore. There's no switches. So I know that, okay, I'll just squeeze a bit more and it will come out. So it's not such a problem for me. A lot of times the middle stuff bothers me. The transitional spots, you know, like mostly most singers, I guess. I don't know.
The passaggio, if you remember from your classical days, the passaggio.
Yes, yes, exactly. And the more out of breath you are, or, you know, the more further deep into the set you are, the more it's like, where is the switch now? I feel like, you know, I end up just being here all the time. Like, I cannot be here at all anymore. It's like,
yeah.
So it's getting tricky. But I honestly think of these things after you asked me. Like it's not a conscious thing when I'm singing. Like, ooh, I am too much in my head voice, or like, ooh, I'm too much in my chest. I should bring it there. Like, unless I'm really suffocating, and then I have to realize or something. But otherwise, I just go how the flow and energy feels like.
Well, it's you know, muscle.
What the song needs.
It's muscle memory for you at this point, which it has to be.
Yes.
You know, it has to be. You can't be up on stage trying to give an emotional performance and be thinking about registration so much. It's just gotta be there.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. Yeah. I honestly, it's like you said. Like when you're night in, night out, doing basically the same songs, and basically the priority is not just for me. You know, it's kind of the opposite with opera again. Like it's not my priority to sit on the same spot, basically, and deliver. Or like, okay, operas are not the theatrical. There's the theatrical part of opera that you do run around the stage and you make the little dialogues.
Yes.
Like that's different. Yes, but the other part, I don't know if you just sing an aria.
Say recital, you know? or concert version of something. Yeah.
Yes. So if it's just that, mostly it's static and. The people can enjoy the acoustics of the room, you know, the acoustics of your natural voice. You know, it's a different game. And then when it comes to me, I cannot think of the singing too much. It kind of has to be on auto gear. Yeah. You know? Because there's all the other stuff playing around with the crowd. You know, sometimes I will sing this line, sometimes I will give it to the crowd. Or I don't know. It's that flexible that the performance is the number one and the singing kind of comes second. Totally. A lot of times. It's on auto gear.
Autopilot, basically. Yeah.
Autopilot, correct.
Awesome. Correct. Okay, last thing. Where can people keep up with you and where can people keep up with Beast in Black if they want to follow your journey?
I think, well, nowadays, the social media like YouTube and Instagram are the ones that I would use the most when it comes to people, and of course Facebook, but I don't know, it feels like people are not that much into it anymore because the trends always change. But you can type in my name and surname, Yannis Papadopoulos, on YouTube or Instagram and find my profile there. And for me, I would prefer somebody to go on YouTube because that's where the music is. If you go on Instagram, there's basically photos. So I don't care if you see how nice I look. You know, that's so secondary or tertiary to me. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Yannis. It's great chatting with you, and I'll keep Tiffany updated. This one's actually going to be a quick turnaround, so it'll be released pretty soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. This was super fun for me.
It was great. Great chatting with you, and best of luck with all the upcoming stuff. I'm really looking forward to checking out more Beast in Black music.
Let me know what you think of it.
I will.
Feel free to find me as well.
Okay.
Take care, man.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
I hope you guys enjoyed that full conversation with Yannis Papadopoulos from the band Beast in Black. If you enjoyed this one, you will surely enjoy this one with Simona Simons, the lead singer of Epica, another artist off the Nuclear Blast record label. Check it out.